Okay, everyone, take your seats. We're going to start. Welcome to this year's Shark Tank World Water Week 2024. So, for those of you who are a bit unsure what you've signed up to, I'm going to talk you through the session so that you understand exactly what to expect. For those of you who don't know, I'm Esther. I'm part of UNICEF's WASH Innovation Hub. And you'll hear a bit more about what we're up to. But the goal of today's session is to talk about innovation in fragile contexts. So, how's this session going to work? Well, the Dragon's Den concept, because I'm British, Shark Tank to the Americans, actually originated in Japan in 2009 as an opportunity for entrepreneurs to pitch to a panel of venture capitalists with the hope of securing investment. There are many global versions of this game. To name them, we have the Tiger of Money, which is the Japanese version, the Shark Tank in America, Dragon's Den in the UK. According to Emily in Paris, it's the Fox's Den in France, but according to Wikipedia, it isn't. So I'm going with the Emily in Paris version, so it's the Fox's Den. We have the Lion's Mouth or Den from Finland and Germany. We have the Lion's Arena or Empire from Romania, which I wanted to call this the Lion's Arena, but apparently that's a bit too violent. The Opportunity in Spain, and as we're in Sweden, it's the Dragon's Nest, which I shan't attempt to pronounce in Swedish. Thank you, Alex. So, what we're going to do here today is we are going to have entrepreneurs pitch their business ideas to a panel of investors in the hope of securing investment from them. And at the end, you as our local entrepreneurs will have an opportunity to invest in this pitch that you liked best. That's why you will suddenly have a lot more money than you did before you walked into this session. But you can only vote once. Okay? So choose wisely where you want your money to go. Every pitch you're going to see is real. These are projects and initiatives that are being used in appropriate settings. However, the setting that we're pitching against is made up. So it's the fairest way to have this. We're going to have 4 pitches, and after each one, our sharks, who will be sitting here, will be able to ask some questions before they decide if they want to invest and how much. And then lastly, as I said, at the end, you, our local entrepreneurs, will get to decide if you think any of these pitches are worthy of your investment. After we finish the pitching session, we're going to have a bit of a discussion about what got the investors interested and why they were drawn to certain initiatives. Okay? And the person who's going to facilitate that is not me, so you can all breathe a sigh of relief. It will be Cecilia Sharp, who has been a donor and an investor and now works at UNICEF as the head of WASH. So she's got 2 hats, and I'm fairly sure she'll ask some good questions. So, where are we playing this today? Welcome everyone to Lodah. Population of about 500,000 people, and we have water sources which are made up of surface water, groundwater, and a little bit of rainwater harvesting. In terms of infrastructure, it's fairly standard to what you'd expect. Aging urban systems, peri-urban areas and rural areas that lack access to basic services. I'm sure you can all think of somewhere along these lines. We have a mixture of urban population, peri-urban, and pastoralists within our city setting. Climate change is impacting like everywhere else. We've got severe drought, erratic rainfall, rising temperatures, water scarcity, which is all leading to increased conflict. Again, I'm sure you can all imagine somewhere along these lines. In terms of governance, we have a mixed governance structure with weak coordination, limited technology, and financial struggles. Currently, there's a national loan for infrastructure. There are small-scale NGO projects, and public-private partnerships are being explored. And lastly, there is an urgent need for innovative, resilient WASH solutions to address climate impacts, improve governance, and ensure sustainability. There's more, and everyone who's pitching today has seen a full, detailed outline of what the city is like and what the conditions are to tailor their pitches. However, it is made up, so some assumptions will be made and there will be gaps, but we're going to be really nice to our pitchers, and we're not going to draw it out or point it out too much if they don't quite know. So, let's start. We have 3 sharks. So, I'm going to invite our sharks up. We have Yasmin, who's going to represent the national government. We have Vivek, who's representing the Development Bank of Infinite Possibilities. And we have the Big Company Foundation, Alex. So give them a big round of applause. Take your seats. Thank you. Okay. And so, you guys remember you're our local philanthropists, our audience. So, who is pitching? I went a bit crazy on the theme tune. Apologies, everyone. Got excited. So our pitchers, we have 4 projects pitching today. Okay? You will understand all of them after their 5-minute pitch. So they're going to explain in 5 minutes what they do, what their solution is, how it's relevant, and how much money they are asking for. After those 5 minutes, our wonderful sharks. Do you want to be sharks, or would you like to be a less aggressive animal? You could choose. You like sharks? Okay, I love this. You know, we want to be sharks. So our sharks here are going to have 5 minutes to ask a couple of questions, clarifications, and then at the end of those 5 minutes, they will decide how much they want to invest. Each one has their own budget, which only they know. Okay, there's a little bit of competition here, and they do not have to invest if they don't want to. So remember that, guys. Okay? And just to be clear here, each one of these sharks is playing a role, but they do have experience in what they're doing. So they're not representing the organizations they work for right now, if you know who they work for, and we will come on to that at the end. So that's my disclaimer, that this is not necessarily how they are in their professional lives. Okay? They're really nice people. Oh, Vivek! Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to invite Espen up with our very first pitch. Espen, give him a round of applause, guys. This isn't easy. Okay, you have 5 minutes, Espen, from once you get to the stage. We'll let you. Okay, thank you very much. Off you go.
Thank you very much. You hear me? Yeah, okay. So I'm here to pitch a solution for mapping groundwater resources. We all know that water scarcity is a big problem worldwide. It's caused by climate changes, change of rainfall, different uses of the soils which pollute the groundwater. We are here proposing a project where we are using instruments or measurement machines where you can create images of the subsurface, and by that you use those to locate the most optimal location for boreholes. You can also use the images of the subsurface to locate where the best locations are for artificial infiltration of rainwater into the aquifers. And these images, it's basically the same as if you get an injury in your arm. The first thing they do at the hospital is a technician will make an X-ray so that you know where the injury is, and then the doctors can decide when they interpret the images what it is the proper treatment is. And it's a little bit the same. We create these images of the geological layers in the subsurface, and by that, instead of just watching the landscape, maybe throw a coconut and then you decide where to drill, we actually have a solid foundation of where is the most optimal location for the next borehole or for the infiltration site. So really, this is in the part of a water infrastructure development. It's a very basic part where we evaluate and can come up with a guess and an estimate of how big is the water resource, how well is it recharged from the surface. These scanners is easy to operate, and that's actually a part of the vision of our company, is that this is very complicated technology, and we are spending a lot of effort on making them very simple, so they are basically operated from an app. And on the machine, it's the yellow box you see which the guy on the left side has in his hand. That's where we make the measurements. And basically, you don't need to be a skilled geophysicist or hydrologist. To make the measurements, it takes maybe half a day to train people to make these measurements, and you can cover about a square kilometer a day, where you get a full 3D picture of the subsurface from the surface up to 200 to 300 meters depth below the ground surface. As a company, we also offer this. We don't only offer the instruments, we also offer a solution where we make partnership with the local stakeholders. So I'm proposing here a project with 4 of these machines, and then an education program where we can train the local technicians and the local experts in how to use the instruments. And we have seen many times from the projects we have, that in a repeated training session is also a very good idea. So we also included in this project that over a 3-year period there will be repeated training sessions. And then finally we will also, as a company, we support the local crews once we get them started by, it can be by survey planning, it can be by interpretation of the data and guidance throughout the period. I think that's it. Our experience is that this is extremely important for mapping of and getting the local experts. They become local experts from the knowledge we are trying to put into the community. So this is basically a project which will allow it's a risk management tool, you can say. You are investing a lot in boreholes and water infrastructure, and these investments are often much higher than the price of one of these machines. But we are really able to increase the likelihood of finding water and do the right decision when we put the boreholes or when we take the areas and infiltrate rainwater from the surface. I'm done.
Good job.
Yes.
Wow. Round of applause, please. Okay, so Sharks, are you ready for some questions? I need to check if this is... Oh man, technology. There we go, we're on. Okay, I'm going to go to national government first because I feel like there's the biggest role to be played in some ways with what this technology does. So off you go.
Yes. Hello, everybody.
Yep.
Okay. So good presentation. You mentioned a lot of things that were good. So capacity building is very important.
Yeah.
But I have to ask, so when you said mobile application that everybody can use it, does that mean the local communities? Because depending on the financial freedom they have, maybe not everybody has the availability of having mobile phones and stuff like that. So is that, did you mean like the locals, or did you mean the people, your company doing it basically?
Our company is not doing it. We are transferring the expertise to a local stakeholder.
Okay.
And that could be, it can be a company, it can be a water authority. It can be an NGO working in the area. And then we train and build the expertise in that organization.
Based on the funding received.
Based on the funding received, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, next we'll ask our development bank of infinite possibilities, because who cares about foundations, right? They can come last.
Thank you very much for that presentation. Very interesting, and always nice to see some new technologies being pitched. I want to understand a little bit about where this has been done already.
Yeah.
And how does it work with a regulatory environment, right? We can't be just digging boreholes everywhere we want. So how do you work with the local government?
Yeah. The technology has been demonstrated in several countries in East Africa, in the developing countries. I mean, it's used routinely in the US, where we have many systems running. It's also being used in India, and that's actually where we see important markets for these kind of, we have other machines which are bigger and more expensive, but these relatively inexpensive machines, we see the biggest market in developing countries. That was your first question.
The local government.
The local government. This will be in a collaboration. I mean, a local government will normally be the authority working and doing these measurements, I think. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And then lastly, but of course the best till last, our foundation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just a question in terms of the business model around this. So trying to understand is the government then the target customer of this product? And then also I'm interested in the data. Is this a monitoring device that can be used over the long term to understand, climate impacts on groundwater, or is there a long-term value to the data that would incentivize the local community to continue keeping the technology working?
I think the local stakeholder will be a governmental organization. It could also be an NGO working there which has the expertise. There are several of the NGOs I've been talking to today which has hydrologists and doing this kind of implementations. It could be local water authorities on any level, and I think using the machines is so simple that we can relatively easy put that expertise. And at least there's two levels of this. There is actually doing the measurement. That doesn't require much. It can be technicians. Doing the interpretation is like the doctors also need to interpret the image in the X-ray, and that requires some experience, basically, and knowledge about hydrogeology and so on. What was your second question?
The long-term value of the data.
The long-term value, that's a very good question. And thank you because I actually forgot to say that. You can regard this information, these data, these images as more as an infrastructure. So let's say we want to build this water infrastructure in this city, Lahore, and you would make a scanning first, then you would start working with it. You would pinpoint locations for boreholes, and then maybe 5 years later, you want to look at where could we actually manage aquifer recharge. So where could we recharge the aquifers, and how is that recharge site connected to the subsurface layers? But it's the same data. It's the same images. They don't change. So if there is someone who saves the images, of course, then it's something you can go back to year after year, and it could also be used for construction sites. So there's many usages of these data.
Okay. This is a real project, just to remember that. So if you're interested in this afterwards, please find Espen. But for now, we're going to ask our sharks if they're willing to invest and how much.
I wanted to ask one more question.
I'll give you the mic first. You can ask the question and make it quick. You guys couldn't see the look she got.
It's a tough moderator, isn't it?
No, just very quickly, maybe you might have mentioned this, but what is the timeline or the process? How long does this take?
Actually, making the measurement doesn't take a long time. You can cover, with a good field crew of 2 people, you can cover like 1 square kilometer a day. That's a big area. So if you're covering an area around a village, you don't want to be too far away because then it's too expensive to build the infrastructure, right, to get the water in. So it's a few days of work. I have an example from Somaliland where they did 47 measurements and covered, and that was sufficient to actually put a successful borehole. So it's not doing the measurement which takes the time. It is all the work in the interpretation process afterward, and that's where it takes the time.
Okay, so are you going to invest and how much? You can't take too long on this, I hate to say, sorry.
I do want to invest. It's just...
Yeah, I know. We don't know what's coming.
Exactly.
That's the whole point of the game, guys. Come on. Do you want to go first then? Yeah.
Make it easy for you.
Yeah, okay, so we're always going to let national government go last, just so they can
Exactly, and we are
take care of your budget. Okay, fine.
so
fine.
the infinite bank of possibilities is also an infinite bank of bureaucracy and processes. We're going to pass this time around, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, boo.
Far more information.
Yeah, we're also going to pass.
What? Okay.
Pressure. So,
There's still a chance your philanthropist might step in at the end.
yeah, I want to do like a pilot test to begin with.
Okay, so how much?
So-
You don't have to give the full amount.
Oh, yeah.
I can help.
That-
50%.
yeah.
We can go in 50-50.
50-50.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
You're easily swayed. Okay, Espen, thank you very much.
I like these sharks.
I know, they're really nice. We are keeping a score, so we'll work out at the end how we're doing before our philanthropists get involved. Right, and next one, and anyone might think I planned this, but it is actually managed aquifer recharge. And he didn't know this. We kept all the sharks separate from each other, so they didn't know who was pitching what. So Brooke is going to talk to us about managed aquifer recharge for Lodah and how it might look. Off
Great.
you go, Brooke.
And so luckily now you've heard a preview of managed aquifer recharge and a bit about what it's all about. Okay. So let's look at the completely made up facts of Lodah. So the population in Lodah is currently increasing. As you saw from the map, pastoralists are moving into peri-urban areas of the city and settling there. And partially, they're being driven by drought. Droughts are being exacerbated by climate change, which is increasing temperatures and decreasing rainfall. We're having prolonged dry seasons and more pressure and less surface water availability during those dry seasons. So that is putting more pressure also on the groundwater resources, leading to over-extraction. And right now, the water table is declining by an estimated 2 meters per year. So this is also resulting in conflict between water users in Lodah as they compete for this scarce resource. But we have a real opportunity to make better use of the water that we're already getting in Lodah throughout the year. So just like we store food or we save money in a period when we have a lot for a period when we don't have as much, we can also store the water and the rainfall that we're getting in Lodah during the rainy season to tide us over during the dry season. But instead of just building another surface water reservoir, which is costly and also can lead to higher evaporation losses, we can store the water underground. So this is managed aquifer recharge. And we can do this by slowing down and retaining the water more during big rains and during the rainy season to give it more of an opportunity to infiltrate into the aquifer. So then we can use it throughout the year when we need it. So this is a nature-based solution. It's decreasing our costs for gray infrastructure and our O&M, as I mentioned. And it brings ecological benefits by helping us to restore groundwater levels. So there's a lot of different techniques that we can use for managed aquifer recharge, and these techniques need to be investigated at the specific sites in and around Lodah. So to do that, we need to first do a pre-feasibility study so that we can get more information on 3 things. So the first thing is water demand, both spatially and temporally. The second thing is the water availability, again, spatially and temporally. And then lastly, as we also heard a little bit, the aquifers themselves and how they can receive this water without compromising the quality. So we can start with simple monitoring and also consulting with the community and with local governments to understand the system under the current conditions, and then complement this with some field surveys, more detailed studies, and some scenario testing through modeling. So we estimate that that will take about $100,000, and then to do detailed engineering design on the final sort of schemes that we think are going to be feasible would take about $200,000. So that $300,000 that we're asking for will get us to the point where we're actually ready to be able to implement this in Lodah. Lastly, I wanted to say that managed aquifer recharge in this way can be a really good tool for engaging with communities, and we've had numerous experiences of this around the world, and we think that we can also do it in Lodah. Cool. That's it.
Thank you very much. Great, thank you very much, Brooke. We will start with the foundation this time. Yeah.
I didn't have a question identified though.
Pay attention. Thank you very much. That was very useful, and also I like that you made it contextual to Lodah, so it was very easy to relate to.
Thank you.
I do have a specific question about, what is managed aquifers? Like, what are you going to do under the ground for us? What am I investing in? I don't want to give so much money to surveys and pre-feasibilities.
So you would prefer to give us more money so that we can actually construct some pilot schemes and see how well it's working, set up the monitoring systems for the groundwater levels?
Is she allowed to ask us questions?
Yes. I'd also like to point out that Brooke works for UNICEF and we're keeping her, Please
No,
continue.
I don't know about the audience here, but I do want to understand a little bit more about what will happen once you have done all these surveys and this engineering, scenario testing, modeling, etc.
Well, what we'll be doing is
maybe let me clarify a little bit more, sorry. What would it look like in the city of Lodah?
So it could look a few different ways. So basically what we need is a water source and an aquifer that can receive it and some way of getting the water into the aquifer. So depending on what the aquifer looks like, the soil conditions, the specific site-specific conditions, we can do that in a lot of different ways. So the simplest way would be just maybe creating some check dams or small retention ponds to allow the water to infiltrate down. In some cases, you can have wells that put the water directly into the aquifer, but again, it kind of depends on the specific site. So that's what we want to do the studies to understand exactly what scheme would work.
Thank you.
Wow, Brooke. Very effective answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
National government, seeing as this kind of goes to your city.
So I really like this idea because, oh wait, sorry.
You're on.
No, same, but it's okay. Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to ask, so what are the guidelines you're following or the strategic objectives you're following? Because water quality standards, the environmental conditions, also, who does it help? Like, okay, or what percentage of the population do you anticipate it helping?
So those are great questions. I think in terms of the standards, it would be all the national standards. I have to, well, I don't know if I can say this. I don't really understand what my company is because, so I guess from...
That's reflective of many of us in this room.
Yeah, so I think from my perspective, this would be something that the government, with support from an external support agency like UNICEF, could start to study and do in line with national standards, basically. And then as far as how many people, basically how much additional water could we get, right? Not really sure. I think that's the punt answer is that's why we want to do these studies. But I did invite my hydrogeologist here today.
If you have any
in
further
case he
questions.
has any, who may or may not have written the scenario. So I don't know if he has any ideas about how many people we can serve.
Okay.
Okay, for everyone
All of them.
online,
So we
it's a
could serve
localized
all of them.
solution, so he can serve everyone because he's inclusive like that.
Yeah.
I like it. One more question from the sharks, and then we have to get investment. Are you still happy not to ask? Okay, so think about how much you want to invest while I just say we're not having Brooke back again because she undermined the format of the game. Okay, so you're off the list. Okay, so we'll start with the development bank again because I feel like your pockets might be the deepest.
Pockets might be the deepest. Firstly, I want to say thank you. It was a good answer, and I think especially to the questions I asked, I do need to work with the local government because we're talking about localized solutions. I don't know what you're going to be digging up through the town of Lodah. We can't have that. But I do think this is a good approach. So I would be willing to fund the pilot. But I need a discount because it's too expensive. I need to see the rates of pre-feasibility. I think you're asking for too much, but I would be willing to go in for one.
Can you give that a financial figure, please?
200,000.
Accepted.
Okay.
Okay, pass it on to the foundation, please.
So I would be happy to complement his 200 with your final 100 because we're looking at actually building a factory in the region. So I'm very interested in understanding also the feasibility of this process, but also what the actual aquifers look like.
Okay,
Thank you.
so
I'm so surprised to hear that a foundation has a factory. But yeah, that's wonderful.
it's a
Yeah,
big
thank you.
company foundation. I mean, you know.
You did.
Okay.
Sorry.
This is method. I've chosen which company.
Okay.
I was going to say that you undermine the case by not knowing what company you're pitching for.
Okay, so national government is currently overfunded at 400,000, so you can decide if you would like
Yeah, I don't think I'll fund then.
Cool. Thank you very much, Brooke.
But I do want to support the initiative.
You want to
I do,
support
yes,
it, so you'll
and
support it with...
yeah.
Okay, sounds great. Well done, Brooke.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, just a reminder to those online. People online will also be able to decide whether or not they want to invest, and they're welcome to put it in the chat. We are keeping an eye on it. Right, we have 2 more pitches. So we're going to move a little bit away from water, and our next pitch is going to be from Alexander, and we're going to be looking at sanitation funding facilities. Please, take the stage, guys. Come on. Woo! You have 5 minutes, remember? And it's timed.
Good afternoon, investors, and good afternoon, sharks. Do you have any money left? That's good. So Lodah is a made-up city But what I'm telling you is not made up, it's facts. In every city and population, 10 to 20% are entrepreneurs. So, which means that 10 to 20% of all households are managed by a businesswoman or a businessman. So, which means that in this city, there is 100,000 households, and 10 to 20,000 of them are entrepreneurs, and many of them work within the sanitation industry. So this project and facility, it's about creating financing and opportunities for these businesses, because one of the biggest challenges for businesses to grow is lack of access to finance. So this project is both about empowering, it's about job opportunities, but it's also about sanitation. These sanitation businesses need financing to invest and to be able to connect with the population, to build toilets, to sell products within the sanitation industry. So it's an important project in several areas of impact. What I'm asking for, or what my NGO and company asking for, it's $30 million of loan. So it's not, it could be repaid. And I actually have a government donor which guarantees this loan. So if you provide those 30 million, you're not actually taking the full risk. But I'm also asking for 1.5 million for capacity building, technical assistance, and to provide interest-free loans to resource-constrained households. Because we don't want marginalized families to borrow money and to be in a debt burden. So the loans are interest-free for them to buy toilets, to improve their health conditions within the household. So that's my ask. And this project has been tested before. It's been run in several other cities. We have good data which shows the success rate is high. The default rate of the companies are quite low. So yeah, that's my ask.
Thank you very much. Right. I feel like this pitch needs to go to the development bank straight away. Like, this is asking for your inputs, please.
Thank you. The infinite bank of possibilities is always looking to engage with small, medium enterprises, and we're trying to grow our private sector business as well to support this. I would like to just understand a little bit more about who are these businesses? How is it going to work? How does this transfer of money, and how is it going to translate into results on the ground?
Yeah.
More questions there, I see.
That's a good question. So the banks we are in partnership with are local banks. They have branch offices all around the city. And in these branch offices, you have loan officers which receive the application and make an assessment. So we will provide the training to this loan officer to identify the right type of businesses. And they also have an instruction to make sure that women-owned enterprises are also prioritized. So that's a capacity building exercise that we provide to these loan officers to make sure that they finance right type of businesses, both in terms of ownership, but also the type of products they are selling and the type of services they provide to the customers.
Okay, I'm going to go to national government next because I feel like they have a very important stake in this one.
Yes. Okay, so this is very helpful for the community, which I'm really with it. But my question is now, so first of all, clarify for me, the 1.5 million you said is just for capacity development?
The capacity development will be quite cheap because it's just training of loan officers and staff, but most of it will be used to pay for the interest-free loans, because the loans are not interest-free, but the money will be used to pay for the interest, so that the 5% population which are pastoralized and are resource constrained, they don't need to pay the interest.
Okay, also, when you say, so this will increase job rates or job for the community?
98% of all jobs in that city are created by SMEs.
Okay, so, and when you say sanitation facilities, I just want to understand what exactly is it? What kind of facilities are they?
Yes, it's all businesses which sell toilets. They come to your house and build the toilets, but they also could sell connection points for filtering waters or providing water to households. So it's different type of products and services within the wash segment. So we have a definition of what wash businesses are, and it's those companies.
Thank you.
To just clarify that he is not a wash engineer, so that we can just be clear here. We would clarify what those industries might be with some expertise within the company.
Okay, noted. Question, I'm a little skeptical about the loan officers choosing the SMEs and understanding kind of the business models. So I'm interested to hear a bit more about that. Also, I'm particularly interested in the resource recovery and the other parts of the value chain, but maybe that's not the right question to ask you, of the local SME market. But perhaps you could speak to a bit more the training and capacity development available for these SMEs so that they have the sustainability in terms of their operations.
That's a good question. And if there is not a carrot for the bank, they will just go on like they've done in the past. So the thing is that this guarantee, which will de-risk the loan for the bank, there is terms in that guarantee, and in those terms is specified that they only cover risk for businesses in the wash segment. So it means that if the bank make losses and they want someone to pay for their losses, and we evaluate that and we find out that that business is not specified within the list, then they're not going to get any recovery. So hence, they need to follow the instruction. And hence, we think that with that support, with that capacity building, and also through pressure from banks management, that will encourage the loan officers to really ensure that the loans are dispersed to the right businesses.
Okay. So we're going to ask you guys whether you want to invest. We are definitely going to start with the Development Bank of Infinite Possibilities on this one. And remember, there are two funding asks up there. You can fund 1.5 million or a 30 million loan that may or may not be paid back, I believe were his words.
No, so firstly, I thank you very much, because you hit a lot of key points that one is looking to hear when you're talking about a pitch. You talked about a gender angle. You talked about health outcomes that's going to be improved. You talked about the capacity needs for, that you need to do in order to build the capacity of local loans. We are very interested, and we don't want you talking to anybody else. And I want to make sure that we can see how we can go more than 30 million, because we have a commitment with the government to be on these exact indicators. So we'd really like to talk more. So done.
Thank you.
Is that the full 30 million?
In fact, we'd like to see if the ambition can be raised.
Yeah.
How much do you want, Alex? Hang on. This is negotiation, guys. How much do you want?
I mean, it depends if we add energy businesses, solar panels.
We want to hear.
Okay, so if we add energy?
Agriculture, then we could 50, 60.
Yeah.
50,
But
60
I need
million.
some more data on that,
Yeah.
but yes, let's talk. So
Okay. Wow. So do you want to ask the foundation, or you don't want anyone? Is this conditional of nobody else investing?
yes.
Okay. So
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
see how much the others want to offer, and if he wants to take that money more.
Like in real life, we also have to think of our own business when you're doing MDBs, and we are wanting to ramp up our private sector business in the town of Lodah. So this is great for us.
I'm fine with
You don't want to
One
hear what the
time.
others have got
No.
to say. Hang on a minute. I'd like to point out that the other two voices are female, and therefore we're going to hear what they have to say. Thank you very much. What would you like to say?
Well, I was interested to invest. And we also like to work with partners and development banks. So if something falls through, or you're looking to bring in perhaps skills from the private sector, because I'm a private sector anchored foundation, we'd be very interested to continue conversations with you.
I would love
I
that.
think I must cede the stage because I don't work with the pockets that he works with.
Yeah. Okay, and national government.
So the national government. So wait, when you say you've invested all of it, that means only the 30 million.
No, he said 60. I mean, there's no room for
Yeah.
He's going for 60 now.
I should offer a correction.
Please.
I don't want to do this like just by us. We are happy to take all the cost and work with you guys, right?
You can't take it back now. Okay, so I was gonna propose the government takes care of the capacity building, but
You have a choice now.
yeah.
I mean, we always include government in whatever we do. I think we would like to have the government involved, but the money can be used for other things, but be involved anyhow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Saves money for me.
Well, I don't know how my financial manager in the corner has recorded this one, but it sounds like you're pretty well invested there. So thank you very much, Alexander.
Thank you.
Okay, our last pitch is coming online, so it's pre-recorded, but our pitcher is online to answer your questions. I have seen him. It's very early in the morning, so be nice. So our last pitch for your enjoyment is Wash AI and how this could help the City of Lodah. So hopefully this is going to play. Do I have to click again? One more click. Sorry, guys. Technology. Hold on.
As a WASH practitioner, how many times have you made a decision knowing you should be more informed? How often have you known data exists but couldn't find it, or read a report in a language you don't understand? Imagine working in Lodah's WASH sector. Data management is weak, knowledge fragmented, officials struggle with outdated reports and lack of coordination. They're making critical decisions about water allocation and public health based on incomplete information. The consequences? Misallocated resources, ineffective policies, and a population suffering from inadequate services. Now imagine if WASH actors in Lodah could upskill their knowledge, build climate-appropriate solutions, and apply effective approaches to their context. Envision professionals easily translating global best practices into locally relevant solutions. Well, it's possible. Today, artificial intelligence has fundamentally changed how we process information. AI can sift through vast amounts of unstructured data in seconds, extracting valuable insights that would take experts months to uncover. But it's not just about the speed. AI offers personalized, context-specific knowledge delivery. Imagine a system that understands Lodah's unique challenges, can deliver tailored recommendations to a city planner, water utility manager, or even community worker, each with their preferred language and expertise level. There is no more excuses for uninformed decision-making in the WASH sector today. This is where WASH AI comes in. It's not just another database or an AI chatbot or a co-pilot wrapper. It's a radical reimagining of knowledge management and learning. WASH AI is an AI-powered platform that aggregates, analyzes, and curates WASH-related information from diverse open sources, integrates with private sources too. It translates complex technical documents into simple, actionable insights and learning in local languages, bridging the gap between global knowledge and local application. Here's how WASH AI could address Lodah's governance and human capacity issues. First, it provides up-to-date, contextualized information to decision makers at all levels, WASH ministers to local technicians. It offers personalized learning pathways, allowing Lodah's WASH workforce to continuously improve their capabilities. It captures local expertise and combines it with global best practices, translating them into locally relevant solutions. The impact is enormous: faster upskilling of practitioners, more efficient resource allocation, more effective long-term planning for climate resilience. This represents a paradigm shift. Traditional knowledge management is obsolete. We need to rethink our approach to information and decision-making fundamentally, globally and in the WASH sector. The urgency of adopting AI-powered solutions like WASH AI cannot be overstated. And we're seeing results. We're testing WASH AI with practitioners from 150 organizations in 50 countries in 15 different languages. They love it. Over 100 more organizations are on the rating list already. Here's my call to action. We're seeking $100,000 in investment to enhance WASH AI's features and implement it for Lodah, giving every local WASH practitioner access to their own personalized global WASH specialist who understands their job, speaks their language, and they can interact with via web, email, or even WhatsApp. This investment goes beyond the one city. It's about revolutionizing decision-making across the entire WASH sector. The scaling is vast. We can expand globally, integrating knowledge from health, climate, nutrition, and other sectors. WASH AI can reveal hidden patterns and improve cross-sector coordination as well. Imagine a world where every water and sanitation decision is informed by global and local knowledge, tailored locally, and powered by WASH AI. That's the future with us, starting with Lodah. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Olivier, and hopefully, fingers crossed, Olivier is going to appear on the screen. Woohoo! There he is in person. Hi. Okay.
Hey.
So, same format, just because he's not here in person doesn't mean we have to be nice to him. So, who would like, I feel like national government needs to go first on this one because there's a large...
Never get to go
Oh,
first.
actually...
I just want to say, you did give her a chance to go first and she said she had no questions.
I didn't have a question.
Do you have a question this time? Would you,
him when it comes to money.
I didn't, I was...
Otherwise we don't get a chance.
Okay, fine. Would you...
I was going to go
I'll ask her.
Get
Sure.
on that.
Can you tell us a bit about how it's being trained, the AI?
Yeah. So we don't train a specific model. We use foundation models to do this. And that allows us to keep the model up to date in terms of the information that it uses to provide any recommendation or insights. So we use state-of-the-art models, including open weights models, which allow us to essentially inject curated information, and then the language model itself will use that to inform whatever the task is, if it's a question or a specific task. So we actually use existing generic models for that.
Okay. Second question. I'm a bit skeptical about the 100,000. What is that 100,000 to go to? And it doesn't. Yeah. Tell me about that number. It seems quite small.
Yeah, it really depends on how we look at it. Like I was saying, it's really very, very scalable. So this is really specific to part of it would be used to capture and curate knowledge that is really applicable to this context in Lodah. So what we would spend money on is actually working with local WASH experts to try and uncover a lot of local expertise so that we're not solely relying on global knowledge, which is not always applicable. The other part of the funding would be to invest in specific features as well as language. So working with machine translation for the local languages if they aren't part of our existing language set. So that's where kind of the two parts of that funding would go.
Thank you.
Hello. My question is simple. What is the success rate measured based on in the countries that you've been working on?
Right now, it is perception of the WASH practitioner and the feedback that we're getting. And so at this stage, the features that are in place are more of a question answer, and people have used it really for so many different areas of WASH. And I do have more data around it, but it's really based on the feedback within the testing group. It's currently still in beta, so we haven't gone fully public. But I've been using the feedback. There's a way to provide feedback when you get insights from the system. So all of that feedback is read and gives us, and also on one-on-one connections with some of these users.
Okay. Also, how do you anticipate this helping the community at large in general? In terms of, you said you will do capacity building, I assume, but also, wait, let me find a phrase in English.
You need AI.
I wish I had AI. But okay, just first tell me, like, how does this impact the community at large, basically?
Well, I think on the capacity building, I think the whole point of this is that you don't need to add additional capacity building. It's really just giving access to the tool, which is going to be the key part. And it is targeted to WASH practitioners. This is not necessarily an end user tool. Those practitioners at the community level are end users at the same time, right? So we do see it primarily for the full spectrum of practitioners in the sector because it adapts to their knowledge and skills.
Okay, thank you.
I like that you are learning who's really in control.
Hi, Olivier. Good morning. I don't know where you're joining from. I also appreciate that you have the
Canada.
same background for your recording and this.
I tried.
Very subtly done. I have one question. So where are you going to get this data from? Is it through phone? Like, what does this data look like? It would have been nice if you had given us a little example in your presentation of what this data actually looks like.
Yeah, so it depends which data you're talking about. I think the huge opportunity we have with AI is leveraging, there's a lot of learning that happens in our sector that just gets hidden in case studies that no one reads or reports that no one bothers opening or even webinar sessions that no one's going to watch because it's an hour long. But there are so many good nuggets of things that we've learned and we keep repeating over and over again. And I think being able to bring that in context, so really curating that knowledge, which we've already done quite significantly, combining it with local knowledge. And local knowledge could be simply a WASH practitioner who's got experience in a country, speaks to what they know and interacts with the knowledge system, feeding in based on that global knowledge or maybe some other place which has similar context situation, and then interacting with it. And I think it's really that two-way system which AI now allows so that we can work with both the local expertise as well as the things that we've learned, 15 years ago that we seem to keep repeating.
Okay. Thank you. And I'd like to point out that Olivier had possibly the hardest task of defining what WASH AI is and giving examples in 5 minutes. And I did get a couple of emails saying, 5 minutes? Could I make it any longer? So it is much appreciated how much we got in. But I am going to have to ask you for figures. So thank you, Olivier. So we do need final investment numbers, and then we're going to come to you, philanthropists in the audience, and see how much you want to invest. So, Yasmin.
So the government, because this basically solves the lack of data issue and a lot of other factors, I think we would fully invest.
Okay. Thank you.
It's risky technology investment for the government.
I know.
I like it.
I'm impressed.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential in this technology. I'm very interested in it, so I'd also be very, very happy to invest. And Esther has given us far too much money for the pitches we've seen today, so it's yours.
How much do you want to give him? I need a number.
I mean, 100,000. That's all he asked for.
Okay.
I mean, we can scale. Yeah, this was. There's no problem.
Pitch 101. Set the number right.
Do you want to offer more than 100,000?
I would be willing to go up to 5.5 million.
Whoa!
Yes.
But I'd like to I'd like to pick those locations where it's going.
Is it where you're putting factories in by any chance?
Of course.
Okay.
Why else would I be here?
We do have an ethics department I might need to talk to.
An ethics, yeah. Vivek.
I think we'll pass.
You'll pass. Okay, wow.
Oh.
So, thank you very much, Olivier, for answering those questions. But we're not done. So now, all of you who got here on time got some free money. Now is your time. So you can invest in one pitch and one pitch only. And my financial advisor is going to total up these things. So hopefully you've got lovely round numbers to make it easy. Right. So if you would like to invest in Espen's S10, please put up your money now and hold it up nice and clearly so we can have a bit of a count. Oh, so Espen, you're getting your money now. Nice and loud. Yep. Okay. Financial advisor, and online, if you'd like to invest, please put some numbers in the box.
They can only invest once.
They do know they can only invest once. I have pointed this out. Okay. Olivier can't see any of this. I'm going to take him off the screen, though, so that he can, not feel like he's front and center. Can I go back to the presentation, please? Okay, S10. Next was managed aquifer recharge by the person who tried to game the system, Brooke. So, managed aquifer recharge. Let's see what we've got. Oh, there's some bigger numbers coming out here. I should have gone even more broken down.
Someone's giving you 250.
Yeah. Is this helpies to friends? Because, you know, we may have to get the ethics clearance on that one. Okay, good. Okay. Right. Next, we have got the sanitation funding facility, which already has 60 million. So if you really want to put some more, John Sauer. We've got 250. Look at our wow, guys. Oh, okay. Very nice. Come on, how's your maths doing there, Dave? Okay. And then the last one is Wash AI, which currently has 5.5 million. Yeah, Wash AI. Oh, there's quite a lot of love, Olivier, for your Wash AI in the room. We're gonna read out these totals in a minute. I don't know how we're doing online, Julie. Ooh. Okay, we've got the mathematicians doing some maths over here. Okay, so, Dave. I did purposely make them difficult numbers because I have to get my kicks where I can. I'm okay with it. I'll pay the price another time. It's okay. Okay, Dave, where do our various investments sit now?
Do you want it in proportion to what they asked for or what they were offered?
I want what they're offered, and can you do it into a microphone, please, so people online?
Do it into a microphone. Stunningly, two figures were exactly the same.
Whoa.
Okay. Coming third and fourth. Sorry, I've only got them as the second one and the third one.
Okay.
So they were which two?
The second one was managed aquifer recharge, and the third one was the sanitation funding facility.
Okay. On 1,201,000, thanks for the odd numbers.
Anytime.
We had the managed aquifer recharge and the funding facility.
Wow, well done.
1.2 million. We'll forget the 1,000. 1.29 million. We had Tem.
Oh, you've got your investors there, Espen.
But by far the winner, 1.5 million. 1.511 million, if you want to get. I'm never going to forgive you for those numbers.
Anytime.
1.511 million.
Okay, for Wash AI.
Wash AI.
Okay, well done, Olivier. So in a minute, I'm going to invite Cecilia down here to pick apart with our investors why they chose to invest the way they did. But just quickly to wrap up. The scenario was developed with prompts from myself, and then we used AI to refine it into a full way of doing it. However, the hydrogeologist for rent over here actually had to correct Wash AI. So I'd like to point out that as good as we think it is, we need to be careful to check what we're doing with it, because what Wash AI decided was semi-arid, our hydrogeologist for hire over there, who seems to work on the managed aquifer recharge as well, disagreed. So we corrected it based on his adjustments. I can share the prompts that were used if anyone's interested. I'm not going to take any credit for it. Olivier helped me massively because he understands Wash AI far better than I do. The city image was also generated by AI with Canva, so if anyone's interested in those tools, I'm very happy to share. And the Shark Tank image was courtesy of the internet, along with the theme. I want to reiterate that every single one of these pitchers is working on these projects for real. We're going to share their contact details at the end. Please feel free to reach out. You've got a 5-minute pitch, and there's so much more to know about everything. And just point out that while Brooke presented managed aquifer recharge, you're actually going to be referred to the hydrogeologist, even though she did an amazing job. So one last time, please, thank you very much to all of our pitchers. So at this point, I'm going to hand over to Cecilia, who's going to drill down a little bit more into why people invest in certain things.
Thank
and I'm
you,
going to get off
Esther.
this stage without falling off.
Is this working? Yes, thank you. So, wow, this is so funny. And I sat there and I was noting my own notes. Oh, how does this work? And oh, is this really true? And yes, can this be scaled? Etc., etc. Thank you, Dave, for joining, by the way. And have you presented yourself? Do people know who you are? No, he's heading the Office of Innovation, WASH Innovation Hub in Copenhagen for UNICEF. And he's now also joining with the Sharks. So I just wanted to quickly summarize. I think you might need us to give us the numbers again, just to be sure. But just to say, we have heard 4 pitches, very different, to me at least they were, and they were about to help to solve the challenges of Lodah. And Lodah has a lot of problems impacted by climate. So hence, what we are looking for is something that really can support particularly the poor, the rural areas, the outskirts, but of course for everyone who is inhabitants of Lodah. So we're also looking at the looming crisis as something for the future. It's not only now, but it's also for a little bit for the future. And we also know there are governance challenges, capacity challenges, and that we have tensions between communities on resource use, and then that it might even provoke conflicts. We don't know, but it can. And hence, we need to figure out really how to manage these resources in a way that they reach everyone and be also really equitable. So, and you, of course, now have made your choice and on the betting, and you didn't, but you have the numbers. And I think the idea now is to be a little bit serious, but also, of course, staying in the game. But it's really to dig down a little bit in, so why did you choose to do what how to invest the way you did? So, and of course, I think that we can also interact a little bit with the audience if there are still questions which are a little bit unclear why you invested like you did, but it was very clear. On each of you, I think you had something you liked more than something else. So that was really good. So, first of all, I wanted to know, were there any of these pitches that surprised you and really triggered you to, this is what I want to do? And if so, what was it that got you hooked on this particular investment? Yeah, I think we can. You can. You can go first. Yeah.
Yeah. So what surprised me the most, I think, is the technology aspect of most of the pitches. I think the first one was about the mapping and the geographical GIS, I assume, and WASH AI. So I think as a government, what I think about is how does this impact my community and how does this help the community. So for example, the first pitch was talking about how we can get data and we can do a feasibility study and then we can come in and do the actual solutions. So it's basically like a pre-study, and that helps my community. It helps me understand what I need, what solutions I need, what I need to invest in. So I think that's the technological innovation aspect of it, I think, was surprising to me.
I think what drew my attention or my focus was on the scalability. And so the WASH AI was really interesting, and I felt also from our investor panel as a corporate foundation that was perhaps my role to make a riskier technology investment where maybe others couldn't. And I really appreciated, well, wait, I'll save that for later. Yes, and I was surprised that I got shut out of the sanitation SME one because I really wanted to be.
I'm sure.
But it was an interesting to be in the seat of the funder and not be able to fund what you wanted to. That was a different dynamic, which I'm not. I'll have to ask around to see if that also exists. Yeah,
there are other cities. Yes.
Thank you. I think the audience has heard way too much from me, but. This was an interesting format, right? I think it's important. Firstly, my name is Vivek. I work for the Asian Development Bank. I was hamming it up a little bit more to give you a situation of how sometimes it is to be, either as an MDB or as someone who's pitching great ideas, right? Especially when it comes to innovation. And I always say this is the hardest part of our job sometimes is saying no to a good idea, right? Because there's a lot of factors that go into it. But to come to your specific question about what appealed to me is sometimes MDBs, we are looking for certain things. We have priorities, right? We have got financial partners who are asking us to fund in a certain direction. We've got our own internal goals as well. So we have to meet all those sometimes very boring criterias and work plans. In the finance, the sanitation one, it hit certain markers for us, right? Private sector was right there, local capacity building was right there, gender was right there, and I personally felt that I'd be able to quickly take it to the government and say, hey, look, here's a result that I'd be able to show quickly, right? And sometimes, I mean, of course, I hammed it up to shut you out. That was not the intent. In reality, we never do this alone. You're always trying to work with the government. You can't just go in there and do it yourself. You're working with foundations. But I thought I should give you a good show because you're just listening to us non-stop drone on.
So,
okay.
actually, you already answered the second question, so I'm going to give that to the other two as well, because my second question was a more general one, and that is, of course, when you're looking at investments, what is it you're looking for, but what are the things you're sometimes missing in a pitch? So what would you have looked for that you didn't see this time? So you can just build on that particular one, and then the others can... Yeah.
Should I go first?
Yeah, you can build on that.
I think one of the and I think this is a great format because it gets you to talk sometimes in a much more frank discussion about things that may not be discussed. And I'll be frank is sometimes there is risk aversion, right? As individual human beings, our personalities that come into it. So for example, on the AI one, of course I got that. This is great. This is what everyone's going to do. I also knew everyone in the audience is going to pitch for that one. But I thought, let me be a little bit risk averse and see what the results are, and then I'll jump onto it a little bit late, which happens sometimes. No, we're not the first movers sometimes, even though our mandate is about driving innovation. On the third one of the managed aquifers, it's more a little bit of fear of the unknown, right? I would have liked more information as to where it would have gone, but it was the most in my comfort zone. It's exactly what we in MDB sometimes are always hearing about, these kind of managed aquifers, etc. And that was one I would have jumped at to invest. So that's kind of what I would say, risk aversion. You're dealing with individuals with personalities and larger mandates for these organizations. Yeah.
Thank you. Alex?
On my end, similarly, so thinking of coming to the exercise with imagined priorities in terms of where we invest, where we don't. Then also, I think balancing that with our role in the ecosystem, in the funding ecosystem. So understanding when others can't fund, and it's important for us to take that hit or that risk. I quite liked, well, I said, yeah, a factory for the managed aquifers, but we want to learn through our investments. It was a little unclear. I mean, generally in a corporate foundation setting, I think I would be coming at it from a business model perspective. What's the exit strategy? Who are the customers? There wasn't a lot of talk about that today, but I think, it's okay. But with Wash AI, that I kind of understand better coming from my imagined background. So that appealed to me. And yeah, the managed aquifers and thinking about ESG reporting and things like that, I could see the relevance, hence put our foundation's money forward.
Can I tweak the question to you a little bit, Jasmine? Yeah, because I thought when you review an innovation, hoping that you do it often time. So what would be the main goal? Because you were touching on that already. What would be the main purpose for you to consider an investment, for instance? Are you looking for transformative impact? Are you looking for improved efficiency or scale? Or are you tempted by a cool technology solution that will help you with your perceived problem?
I think it's kind of all the above. But mainly I'm looking at... Okay, oh yeah, this is better. So I'm kind of looking at all of them from different aspects. The cool, innovative fact is just an extra. But in the beginning, I think what I want to know is, as I said earlier, how does this impact the community itself? Not just how does it impact the economy? What jobs does it create? What are the risks? Is this long-term or is it just a short-term solution? So those are also, are they following the right guidelines, the strategic guidelines, the environmental guidelines? Are they following all that? So those are the areas I'm looking at when I'm trying to. So it's true, as my colleague said, 5 minutes was a bit too short. I think in a general setting, we would have a longer discussion on exactly what it is. So I think that's what.
Yeah. Thank you.
Can I
Yeah,
just
you
add something
can.
I forgot before? Is one of the things one also looks for is for scale, right? How do you go from pilot proof of concept to scale? And in some of the pitches, it was immediate that how you could take it up to scale, because we're also getting governments to borrow, right? So if government has to borrow, the government's taking the risk, not us. I mean, if the government's taking a loan from us, so we have to think about a lot of those factors when it comes to innovation in the loan package itself. Yeah.
Thank you. So I was wondering whether we should turn. Esther, are you up and running?
Yes, you can tell me what you want from me.
Do we engage? Do we
We
want to
can
engage?
ask our wider audience. I'm
Yes.
just going to have to take a microphone.
So I think we maybe wanted to hear from the audience a little bit which pitch that surprised you most, and where you would. I mean, we saw your investment, but if you can explain a little bit the reason behind why you picked a certain innovation or a pitch.
Oh,
If
good.
anybody
It's not
wants to
someone
go?
right at the back, because
Yes.
I am in the wrong shoes for running to the back. But at least I'm honest. Thanks. There you go.
Yeah, hello. My name's Charlie Avis. I work for Wetlands International, and we have some experience on WASH projects as well. Brilliant format. So thank you so much to the organisers, the facilitation. Absolutely brilliant. The panelists, the pitchers. It's been such fun, and I would love to do this type of thing again. So thank you for the inspirational example. About the particular pitches, my comment is I was surprised that the only one that really talked about what underpins the water resource really was the managed aquifer recharge. She mentioned nature-based solutions. She mentioned how we can, make sure that the recharge is happening. And I'm surprised that the other ones didn't. So that's my comment. But thank you so much, everybody. It was brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Please.
Anybody else who wants to pitch in?
Yeah, someone at the back just to test me. Thank you. I appreciate it. Just vamp amongst yourselves.
That's fun. Yes.
Who was it? Sorry.
Exactly.
Oh, no. I'm coming.
So while you're waiting, I also wanted to thank your kids, Esther, who made me these nice cards to do from.
Hi, thank you. My name is Digbijay. I work for IRC WASH Netherlands. So first of all, thank you very much for organizing this wonderful event. The design was super and super interesting. My investment was actually for the third pitch, which is a sanitation program. And of course, the reason was it was very practical. I could see the steps, how the project is going to be implemented. So that was very interesting. But on the other hand, as a local entrepreneur and an investor, I can also ask for something, which is the demand side management. I mean, the financing is fine. The de-risking of the loan is super, and we can understand that you can easily link the bank loan officers, microfinance institutes. But before that, we need to ask the question that why the household would take loan from MFI and buy sanitation infrastructures. So the demand side management, making them interested, that would be something I would ask for. Thank you. That was my remark.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So maybe a last question before we start to give the word to you, David, or if you want to say something already. No. Okay. So I was thinking just to give advice to those who pitch, maybe. If there is any message around what would you... Were there any of the pitches you felt that it was satisfactory, you got the information you needed, or again, target maybe were things you missed that it didn't trigger your interest? So any kind of, I mean, of course, this is again not criticizing the pitchers because they don't, but in general.
Okay, so to understand the question is, what was missing from the pitches?
A little bit, yes.
Okay. I think I've said this too much, but So some of the pictures I would want to know, does this affect the community more than it helps the community? So I know, or is there demand for it? Is it localized to a specific community to begin with? So I would like to know that. Also, I think more about the risks involved in some of them. Yeah, just to name a few, I think I will go on forever.
Yeah, I mean, I'd said earlier kind of business model, customer segmentation, et cetera, data. But I really liked how the managed water aquifers, that Brooke kind of opened with a bit more of a setting the stage. And that's really powerful in a pitch. Before you dive into your argument, you have to, of course, establish the problem, but also the context to position your sharks in the setting. So I thought that was something she did really nice, but I was missing a bit perhaps from the others. And yeah, the adaptation to the local context and the considerations of the communities are of primary importance.
Thank you. Firstly, it's very hard to pitch in 5 minutes. This whole thing was a simulation, so there is no real advice or anything. But I think in the real world, and many of you here will know how to do these things in the real world, is a lot of technical questions are asked, right? About the groundwater and what's the quality, what's the composition. All of that, of course, cannot happen in 5 minutes. But that was the nature of the format. But the idea of this whole thing for me was, one, this format pushes things into long-term learning. I'm never going to forget the 4 pitches now, right, which is great, and for the audience as well. And it puts the knowledge in a different format, right? I mean, that was for me the most exciting about this. It's not really about the pitch itself. Yeah.
Thank you. No, but thank you so much. I think it's time to round up. I think we have, I mean, really used your knowledge and your contributions wisely. I think now, David, you want to say something to round up. But I think a huge round of applause for the pitchers and for the sharks. And of course, we know that these were all real solutions, so anyone who wants to invest, I think, should feel welcomed as well.
Thanks very much. I figured you'd be wondering what I was doing up there other than looking pretty, because I wasn't doing that very well. I just want to also add to that a huge thank you to Esther, who did the hosting, to Cecilia, who did the chairing, and to our pitchers, including our online pitcher. Thanks. There's a lot of really good points actually came out towards the end, which I think is where I'll lean on to start this discussion. Well, discussion. It's going to be 2 minutes, I promise. The point was made very well about individuals going in not being able to tell the whole story. And that really reflects how complex a lot of what we're doing is. And anybody who's worked in innovation in the wash sector or any other sector will realize, he says smashing the mic, will realize that this is not just about a single product or a single approach. It's about a whole systems approach. We really have to embed any sort of changes, any innovation adaptations into the whole wash network, into the whole wash service delivery. We need to work with government to look at what sort of policy and strategic changes are needed. We need to work with government and the private sector to build capacity. Often, many of these things that we've talked about, they're all real. These are all either projects or solutions that the Sustainable Wash Innovation Hub is either already investing in or is in looking at negotiating and working out how we invest in these solutions. So they are very real. But the work is not just about how do we get TEM as a solution into a country. It's how do we get it into a country so it becomes their solution for finding groundwater and, more importantly, getting groundwater resources to provide drinking water and other water for people in the country. So just as you go away, the one other thing I'd add is when we do go in and talk to people about this, it won't just be Alex on his own. I or someone else will be in the room to talk on the wash side, but we need him to talk the finance. And similarly, everybody here will be adding to it. as will the government partners, as will the IFIs, as will the foundations and the private sectors. We really, really have to get all of this working to make it work. So I'd like to thank you all enormously for participating, because this really was a participatory session. I'd like to thank Esther for putting random numbers up there rather than nice round numbers. But I'd also like to invite any or all of you to speak to the WASH Hub about how we're trying to get some of these things up and running. For those of you that are looking on the innovation side, please come and talk to us about how we help you doing what you're doing. For those of you that are on the development side, please come and speak to us about how we can help you identify what you need and get innovations to scale with where you're going. Thanks again to all of you. I loved it. I hope you did too.
5 minutes.
The trained man kicks the stone down the road. I believe in peace, I believe in people, I believe in you. If you believe in me, to give all you can, then nothing can be taken from you, no. I believe in love, I believe it's simple. Listen to your heart, everyone is equal. Giving all you have will leave you with nothing to